that I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed the fact that they spend a long while getting there.
Hmm.
It's not as gritty or dark or anything like even like True Detective is, but I
Yeah.
felt like I'm in sort of like the same sort of vein. If you like those seasons, that show, then I think you'd love Insomnia.
In the peaceful town of Nightweed, Alaska,
Detective Burr! Didn't expect to see you this soon.
a brilliant writer of murder mysteries
Working on a new book, Mr. Finch?
has found a way to live them out.
Tell me, killing changes you. Who am I speaking to?
And only one cop can stop him.
You don't hide from me in a town this small.
Where is she, Finch?
I have great respect for your profession. That's why I write about it.
Insomnia, rated R, starts Friday, May 24th at a theater near you.
Welcome to another First Watch. Gourd is in the house. That's right, the Pumpkin King himself. Let's go ahead and let's zoom in. There we go. And hopefully you're having a good time. Insomnia, I know, 2002, a Christopher Nolan film I have not seen. I had not seen it. Don't know why I hadn't seen it. And we will talk about that film right now with the Gourd. Gourd is in the house. Brother, talk us about the film when you saw it. You said you saw it after it came out, but tell us when you kind of like where the affinity of the film and stuff like that is for you, my friend.
Yeah, I want to say I saw this probably sometime after The Dark Knight first came out. That's when I started to familiarize myself with Christopher Nolan's work. I was watching that, Batman Begins, going back and watching like The Prestige and things like that, and came across Insomnia. I liked it, but it was one of those movies that took me a long time to ever go back and revisit. And then probably about 2 years ago, I watched it for the second time and ended up liking it significantly more. Uh, and I've probably watched it about 4 or 5 times since then. And I've grown to appreciate it a great deal. I don't think it's necessarily one of like the better Nolan movies, but it's far from the weakest film he's done. I mean, I think it's a really good movie. It's good. It has issues, but nothing to sink it too low. I think it's. I'd be curious to see what the original version was like, because I know this is a remake of I think it was a Swedish film with Stellan Skarsgård, I think. But
Yeah, Nolan said he had watched the original film like back to back or something. It was very inspired by it, and this is like I guess one of, if not the only time he's worked off someone else's screenplay. Like he didn't write this, and I guess one of my first impressions, Gord, was just that it doesn't.
mhm.
So there's moments cinematography wise, it feels like a Nolan film, but the fact that it wasn't like that modern version of what I expect from a Nolan film was actually kind of refreshing. Like it felt really interesting to have just sort of a crime thriller,
Mhm.
psychological murder story to kind of walk through with Al Pacino, and you see him with Hilary Swank. Now, I will admit some of the marketing is a little odd for me, and I don't know if this was, I don't know, it's just me because I know it was happening when this came out. I don't remember. Well, let's see, this is 2002, so I would have been doing press work yet because that didn't happen until 2003. We had kids. Just can't explain why I didn't see it. I was surprised that the film goes so long because the marketing leans into Robin Williams' presence, but his presence is he's just not in the movie at all for what 45 minutes or so. Like it takes a
Yeah,
long while before we get there.
he's not introduced for a while. I mean, I remember vaguely in the marketing, like they put him very, and I wouldn't necessarily say front and center, but like right there with Pacino. I mean, they made no bones about him being in the film, and it's one of those things where I guess that was just the way they figured they could promote it better, because it would almost make more sense to leave him out of the marketing if you wanted it to surprise the audience, like, oh my gosh, that's Robin Williams. Uh, Kind of the way like Kevin Spacey shows up in Seven. But
Correct.
the funny thing is on rewatch, because I agree with you, this movie doesn't have a lot of the typical like kind of Nolanisms. Although on rewatch you can kind of see why this story would appeal to his sensibilities, because what is the common theme in his movies? It's time, and various ways in which people affect time or time affects people. This does have that very much in it, so it's like it's very easy to see why this story would appeal to him a great deal, but it doesn't come specifically from him, so it doesn't have his typical signature of like manipulating it and whatnot.
Yeah, I will. I tell you that I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed the fact that they spend a long while getting there.
Hmm.
It's not as gritty or dark or anything like even like True Detective is, but I
Yeah.
felt like I'm in sort of like the same sort of vein. If you like those seasons of that show, then I think you'd love Insomnia. I will agree too with the time. I also think that the fog sequence, and then there's the running across the logs, which I think was just absolutely spectacular. I mean,
Hmm.
I absolutely and totally caught me off guard. Like I did not expect that to transpire the way it did. I was very pleasantly surprised with that for sure.
Yeah, and it does have some really interesting exploration of like kind of the moral gray that Al Pacino's character ends up, you know, having to explore, which I guess is an aspect of his past to like coming back to haunt him, you know, because he has this partner, you know, who's about to make a deal that you know could sink. Well, I mean, it's not so much that Pacino cares about his career; it's the fallout that would come off of his career, you know, being sunk. You know, he is somebody who wants to get bad people off the street. He is a person of moral character, but he obviously has, you know, kind of betrayed some of his values in the past, and this is kind of that coming back to haunt him. Uh, it's really interesting to see that. I love the dynamic that this creates with Hilary Swank because she's someone who genuinely admires him and he is really sharp. She is really smart, uh, but she's much, you know, she's very by the book. You know, she's very idealistic, and it makes the ending of the film, I think, really hit home. I really like the way this movie plays out from beginning to end. Like I said, it's got. I would say that the manner in which like the actual, I guess, the inciting incident goes off like in the fog. There's a couple of aspects to that that are pretty convenient, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, at the same time, it's like, okay, I get thematically why they kind of have to do that, but it's like making it to where, you know, his partner would get shot at all required a bit of plot convenience in order to happen. But at the same time, it's like it's not fully glossed over or anything like that. I think they execute it more or less pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I didn't. I wasn't really drawn out of it, and I think it's just Pacino. Pacino just sold
Yeah.
me. So you have this great setup. They're out in this little Alaskan town. There's a lot of conversation about internal affairs and his legacy and what this would mean with people being released from prison, or because everything that he's ever done could be called into question, and his integrity could be all of these different court cases would release these prisoners, and then this partner that basically is having to, basically fall on the sword and say, listen, I've got to testify against you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're caught up in this mystery and they end up in this chase sequence that's in the fog. And 2002, way just very, very, this would have been very intense in a theater. Yeah, I'm disappointed that I didn't have this theatrical experience
Well,
when
yeah,
it
and that's
happened
that's
because,
true of a
20
lot of
something years ago. Yeah,
that's
go ahead.
true of films shot by Roger Deakins. He's so good at what he does. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, his cinematography not only is beautiful to look at, but it adds to a suspenseful film. It adds to that quite a great deal. It's a really attractive movie to look at from just you know, the angle of just how picturesque it looks and how, you know, he
Did
films
Deakins
things in
do
the
that? I thought
fog.
Pfister did this one. Didn't Wally do this one?
Did he do this one? I thought I could have
Hang on.
sworn it was Deacon.
Let me
Maybe you're
open it
right.
back up
You might
again.
be right, but
I think he
uh,
worked with Wally on this one because he worked with both of them. Yeah, he worked with Wally Pfister
okay,
on
yeah,
this
you're
one.
right. You're right. You're right. Which
Yeah,
and
who's
he's really good
also
too.
a
I don't know
very,
why
he's a
I
great
thought Deacon said
cinematographer.
this
I'm not
one.
going to take anything away from Gins. They both work with Nolan on several films and definitely have done some great work of their own.
Okay, I know which one. I mistook it for Prisoners because Prisoners has a very similar color palette. I mistook
Sure,
it for that one.
sure.
That's yeah. Okay.
But I know he worked with him on The Prestige and
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, just a lot of different elements. But I think that going back to button up what you were saying earlier of why the conveniences and plot contrivances all work is because Pacino sells it all. Like he has such a great portrayal of an uncomfortable awkwardness of the cover up
Mm-hmm.
that it worked. I mean, I'm saying, it's like in so many movies when these things happen, you're just like, yeah, right, like that would have happened.
Hmm.
It just felt right. And then when he does explain it later on, so again, there's going to be some spoilers, but I'll try to stay pretty high on anything really major. If you've never seen the movie, I think that it's kind of weird because knowing the situation with Robin Williams' character, it's like it doesn't really spoil because it's just an adventure of the characters and what they're going to go through, and then the commentary that instigates. Like I think it doesn't really matter too much with the spoilers compared to something like Prestige. Um,
Hmm.
but I was just going to say that with Pacino later when he's talking with Robin Williams' character about this, and then at the end when he's talking to Hilary Swank's character, you feel it all felt pretty legit. It all felt
Hmm.
like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really, yeah, I don't know. What is your take on that? I felt this worked for me because of that. Like Nolan took the script enough to tweak it and get the Pacino performance that he needed for it to work, and I think that's why it works for me.
Yeah, I think that what's interesting about this movie and interesting about Pacino's character is, kind of watching him just more and more mentally decline because he can't get sleep, and because he's dealing with the guilt of the circumstances, and I guess probably a good deal of paranoia for what's coming from the internal affairs investigation. uh I think it's what's part of what's interesting is asking yourself at various points in the movie his state of mind and what he would say to himself if asked, did he do this on purpose? And it gets progressively, because as he weakens mentally, I think he begins to question his own motives, because he is dealing with this really unsavory person. Uh, and part of I think what's also going on, it's like is the dynamic of, is he trying to do everything he can to actually stop Robin Williams' character and actually bring him to justice, or is he just going to try to cover himself up? There's a lot of moral gray. There's a lot of questions throughout the movie. I like that they kind of keep it all, keep it hidden over the course of the film. And I like that it doesn't tell the audience precisely what to think when it's all said and done. It leaves you asking questions without, contriving a way to keep it all in the dark. It's like everything feels very consistent on a character level. Everything feels pretty consistent on a narrative level. It's one of those really good movies that asks interesting moral questions and doesn't necessarily give you all the answers. I really like that.
The film takes its name from the fact that this Alaskan town that they've been sent to is going through the time of the year they have perpetual daylight. And his character coming from Los Angeles is not reacting well to this at all. There are moments that are very like every little piece just kind of keeps building on itself with the window and trying to shut out a little bit of light and hiding the alarm clock. And then even later with Robin Williams' character, there's some interaction there about well, this is kind of how it's going to go. He's very aware of the impact of what insomnia can be like,
Mm-hmm.
and they almost connect that level as well. And if nothing else, at least that character understands what Will Dormer Pacino's character is going through, and it's almost like an interesting. It's almost like an alternative to seeing the drugs or alcohol theme for cop dramas or psychological thrillers. So it's nice to see something different. And if anything else, Insomnia may stand alone in that. It may just be its own category of, hey, I come up with this interesting, crazy idea that's an alternative to, drugs, um, alcohol, corruption, money, cocaine, whatever. All those tropes that have been in all these type of movies for decades. So,
Yeah.
uh, I think the attention to detail and how it's shot, the beautiful landscapes, all of that, you just can't say enough. Nolan, of course, delivers. This is his third film. Is that correct? Third or fourth
I believe
film?
so, because let's see, he did
So we're still
Following,
way before
Memento, and
Batman.
then Insomnia, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still way before Batman. I haven't seen Following. I know you talked about that before. That you really liked it. I need to go back.
Following's for an inexpensive indie film, it's a pretty interesting movie, especially on rewatch. It's you now. Granted, that one very much feels like a Nolan movie, just on a very tight budget. But
Mm-hmm.
and plus, there's things that he takes from that movie and ends up putting them in other ones, like characters with certain names and whatnot. But yeah, seeing him with a larger budget do stuff like this, do Memento, uh, yeah, it's pretty interesting to see his progression as a filmmaker, uh, because I do think he gets considerably better over time, and then gets a little self-indulgent with movies like
Oh yeah, I would
Interstellar and
definitely.
Tenet, and then I think he's
I
kind of
still haven't
righted the
watched
ship a
Tenet.
little
I
bit.
still cannot get through it. I just can't do it.
Tenet's yeah,
I just
Tenet's
it's so tedious,
it's
and
such a mess. I mean,
it's
like
it's
it's got
it's going to be the
entertaining
worst of
moments,
what we
but
would say about Interstellar on steroids, because like they're
yeah,
just not as smart as they think they are, kind of thing. And my brain keeps
it's
breaking on
very
Tenet, and I just don't go
yeah.
back. I just keep losing interest. I've never watched Tenet all the way through.
Yeah, Tenet's a rough. It's like I have watched Tenet now. I think 3 different times, and it gets worse with every watch because I'm just like, yeah, just this is just Nolan thinking he's the smartest person in the room and just trying to do everything he can just to do whatever he feels like. And then he got interviewed like a year or two ago. And he's like, "Well, you're not supposed to understand everything in Tenet." And I'm like, "Good, because it doesn't make a lick of sense. So
Yeah, I
that's
don't.
not good. It's a bad movie."
Yeah, and I think Oppenheimer is going to make this part of Nolan's personality worse, because I feel like there's so much love and overhype, overpraise for Oppenheimer. I don't
Mm,
hate Oppenheimer. I think it's
I
just
actually
way too
really like
long.
Oppenheimer.
I know
I
you
think
do. I know
it
you
gets
do. I'm
better on
gonna
rewatch
just.
for me. I quite liked it.
I just didn't. I watched it again. It was like, yeah, it's fine. I think it just doesn't. It doesn't.
I
I don't
do
know.
think it's
I don't
got
know
a
how to
good bit
explain
of
it.
bloat on it. I do think it could have been
Yeah, I
shorter.
think
I
that's.
think
I
there's
think the length is probably my biggest issue with it.
yeah,
There's just a
it could have
whole
been
lot of
about 20
unnecessary
minutes
stuff.
shorter at least. But
100%.
overall, though, I still rank it as one of his better movies. It's just because I think it's largely consistent. But and I find it very interesting. But like, you could easily cut a good 20 minutes off that and probably not lose anything.
Yeah. I will tell you that I think that I was not that I'm ever surprised, but I will say Pacino just really is just a very impressive performer. Just
Mm-hmm.
everything he does, he's just very, very good. And I will say that it's a little tricky sometimes, because there are scenes early in the movie, because you'll find this in a lot of Pacino movies, where they kind of hide how small of a man he is. Like he's a very tiny human. The
Yeah.
opening scene, I think, where they're or one of the opening shots where they're at the hotel, where he's next to his partner, and the partner's towering over him. I mean, like
Yeah.
a lot, like a lot. Like I think the guy may just be like 6 foot, but reality is he just looks enormous compared to him. Um, it's he does have a swagger and an emotion and a weight to everything he does that's just
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Uh, I
He
think that
carries
Nolan
himself
the right
very
thing
well
by
in
just
movies
leaning
like
into
this.
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, he carries himself very well in this and in other movies. Like I actually really appreciate this character a lot the more I watch it, because it's not one of his more over the top kind of performances where he's really acting the heck out of it. He's being much more subtle with certain things, but he's got a very endearing personality, though that slowly gets kind of chipped away at over time. He's got a really good intensity to him when he has to. Uh, he's intelligent, but not in a way that feels like ridiculous or anything. He has good attention to detail. He comes off like a veteran detective,
Yep.
and somebody that it's very easy to see why a character like Hilary Swank would admire him so much. And she's really good in this movie as well. I really like kind of the smart as a whip kind of small town girl who's just kind of meeting her idol in a sense, and is trying to take cues off of him, but then I guess about half or 2/3 of the way through the movie starts to suspect, oh, he might have done something wrong.
Right. But I think that he's not, this is not, Pacino doing hoo-ahs or anything, right? This is not, this is, I mean, you can see this. You see that the deterioration of his psyche because of the insomnia, the stress, and the remorse he has for the shooting incident in the film, the
Mm-hmm.
weight of his past and the moral ambiguity of the decisions that he's ever had to make are going to come home to roost. Like, what if everything he's done, even if it was for the right thing, it's like it is sort of a moral thing. If we
Mm-hmm.
surveyed most people who talk about these crimes, and it's like, you just a little loophole here, a little loose end there, and someone walks, even if they are guilty, is not how most people perceive justice. This guy is, he's skirted those edges, and it's coming back to bite him. But it's Pacino's performance and all that, I think, is phenomenal. Yeah, Hilary Swank as well. I think that for her, I'm going to pull up where we are on her timeline, because she's had so many. I always forgot she started with Buffy. It still just makes my head, wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, her first film was the Buffy film, the
Wow.
adaptation film with the Joss Whedon directed.
And I've
Or
seen
I
that.
think he wrote it.
He
may have
directed.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this considered a breakout point for her? Because I don't feel like the stuff that led up to it really highlighted anything that she did that was great. Let me see here.
Well, she did Boys Don't Cry in '99. That was probably
okay. That's probably the
that
big
was her breakout then,
yeah.
because I think she won an Oscar for that. I'm pretty sure. But what's interesting is, as good an actress as she's shown herself to be, she's never really had like a big like takeoff point in terms of like all these big movies casting her to play these big parts. Like, she's not. It doesn't seem like Hollywood has ever trusted her to lead like a big budget production. I mean, granted, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's picky about the stuff that she'll star in. It could very well be that, but you can look up and down her filmography, and it's like there's really nothing that sticks out as like this attempt to, push her star forward and turn her into this, like what's the one, like an America's Sweetheart type of actress, And granted, maybe it's because she does kind of have a look to her that is not overly feminine. I mean, she's not ugly or anything like that, and she's in movies where she is attractive. But I mean, like I said, like her breakout role was playing a girl who wants to be a boy or something, or was it the reverse? I don't remember. Or playing in $1 Million Baby, where she's a girl who's boxing. Those are kind of the roles she's taken on. So it could be her own choice, or it could just be Hollywood's never tried to get her on board with this kind of stuff.
But even when she's been the lead, she's not some sort of. I don't really remember anything that she's like super girl boss in. I mean, she's been like the romantic lead, like she was P.S. I Love You. She was recently the co-star in Ordinary Angels.
Yeah,
she
she's
kind of
never
played
done the
like
girl boss thing that I can recall.
Which one?
I don't think she's done the girl boss thing as far as I can recall.
The Hunt would probably be the closest thing, right? Because The Hunt, she kind of was, but it also was like only at the end of the movie, not really. Yeah.
There might have been one attempt to push her forward with The Core, because I know that was kind of a special effectsy kind of sci-fi movie.
I don't remember that one at all.
But yeah, it kind of came like I vaguely.
Oh, that was back when Aaron Eckhart was kind of being pushed as a thing too, and that didn't go.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. I like Aaron Eckhart, but yeah, he's more of a.
But not as a lead. I think this is the problem. Is they just don't.
Supporting actor. Although he's a great lead in Thank You for Smoking, he's excellent in that.
Again, I think it's also the budget, the production. She seems like she's had a lane that she's carved out for herself with a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are sort of, and like you were saying, it's like being the lead actor, lead performer in a lot of these movies, because she has been, but it's not some like, $200 million, summer tent pole or anything like that. They're thrillers, they're dramas, they can make a few $1 million and be okay. Yeah. I feel like it's very solid, and she is. She was really, really good in this, and she definitely pulls off, like you said, the young up and coming detective that's seeing that one of her role models or some of the people that she would respect has a lot of warts and skeletons in the closet. And those are all going to be out into the light. Now you kind of have to decide how you would reshape or revisit, recalibrate, and that's what the film kind of explores. I like that. Yeah. It was really brilliant.
Yeah, and that last line spoken to her, I mean, it's one of those kind of lines that if you don't earn it, it's going to come off very, very cheesy. Mm-hmm. But I think the movie does a good job of earning that last bit, because that's kind of what the movie is about. Is you have one person who's kind of lost his way. You get this up and coming woman who is similarly principled, but because she's kind of faced with her own choice at the end. uphold the perceived integrity of this person I admire, or do I keep to the truth? And so his last line to her, it's like that's a good way to end this. It's a good small bit of redemption, or at least a small moment that earns him a good bit of redemption. I think at the end, it's a well earned.
I don't, and I don't consider it a spoiler. It would be a pet peeve in many, many movies, and this is how a good director and a good script can do this. So a lot of movies, when you sort of have like the mystery and some of the elements, there's like literally two, maybe we could stretch to a third character, a mystery character that's kind of out there that could be the killer. It could be the person. So Robin Williams, I mean, obviously it's in the marketing. It's tricky, but he delivers another great performance that Rob Williams is sort of like not known for. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I think if we polled the normies, we would still end up in crazy Robin comedic, in not so much the Goodwill Hunting, Dead Poet Society side of his resume. And this one is even more subdued than those. Way more subdued than even that.
Yeah, what's interesting about this character that he plays, because I can't remember if it was just before or just after 1 Hour Photo that this movie came out, but I was aware of 1 Hour Photo when I saw this movie. In that one, he's got, his hair's done a little bit different. There are things done to him cosmetically to make him stick out in a way. And here it's like, okay, he's playing another killer. He's playing another deranged individual, but I was like, okay, is this going to be like one of those, not necessarily over the top, but one of those types of villains that it has all this like great, like evil, almost comic book level dialogue or something. It's like, what kind of character are we going to get? And when you meet him, it's like, he seems fairly normal, except he's very delusional. He's very delusional about himself. He's greatly lacking in self-awareness. It's just watching him. It's because, like, when you're first hearing him say, I didn't mean to do this. That's where he tries to establish this kinship with him. And he says this over and over to where it's like, okay, I can tell he believes this. So what's the story? How did it happen? And when he finally reveals what happened, you're like, this guy, it's like, I could see how a person without self-awareness would believe that, but he's a monster. He is a monster. Him putting himself in the situation with this young girl to begin with already, it's like, okay, you're a bit of a creep already.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the other, it's like, this guy is full-blown delusional. He's delusional. And it adds a lot of just kind of ickiness to his character, but they don't overplay it. They do a really good job keeping that stuff subtle. Like he is probably he's the easiest element of the movie to have a very firm opinion on. Whereas most of the movie is done in shades of gray. It's like, no, he's very much a bad guy. It's like, there is no gray with him. He's a bad dude. He's
so much worse than the way you feel about him for most of the time. Like it just builds in such a great way. Like you have this sort of like, oh, I didn't mean to. And then it starts, and you feel like he's like a very smart intellectual. He's a writer, and it's okay. You feel like he's like the nerdy guy. And then you see, okay, wait a minute. You're buying her jewelry. You're buying her a dress. You're doing all. So there's like a long process of this, like the obsession is really deep. And then when he, like you said, when it unpacks and he goes into the detail, you feel like Nolan and the screenwriter, let's get her name. What's her name? Hilary Seitz.
The screenwriter, Hilary Seitz.
Yeah. Did a great job of kind of giving us the portrait of a killer. Like it's this, so it's so easy to hear these news stories and you just see the mugshot of the older white guy who victimized some young girl. And you're like, but then you sort of like see this and you get into the mind a little bit differently. And I think that was great. I got to be honest, there's almost part of me, again, it's my first watch, folks. So again, if you don't like my take on this, I'm sorry, but I actually was kind of rooting for him to not be dead at the end of the movie. Like when there's the shooting and he kind of falls into some water, and I was like, oh man, his body's just going to be gone. What a way to end. Like, holy cow. It's almost like a Hannibal Lecter thing where he's just out there somewhere. I really thought that could be what. No, it does not go that way, but I don't know, Gord. I liked it. I liked this villain. This was good for me. Really enjoyed it.
he's definitely a good and effective. He's a very effective villain. I mean, I'm certainly glad he's gone at the end, especially upon rewatch, I guess. But yeah, it's one of those types of people where, you know, if he were still out there, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's chilling, because you kind of would think about like Pacino's words at the beginning of the film about him, how this it's like, oh, it's like he hasn't. It's like, oh, has he done this before? And he's like, not before, but you know, not yet. It's like, but he'll, like, basically saying this is the start. Like, this guy's got a taste for it. He's gonna do worse things from here on. And I'm like, and the more you learn about Robin Williams, the more you're like, yeah, this guy, if he was allowed to walk, this would probably not be the last time he kills. You know, this is something that he might tell himself, oh, this was an accident, but you could easily see him putting himself in a situation like this again and reacting similarly. And I love like some of the interactions between him and Pacino, where Pacino's just letting him know like totally what he thinks of him, like saying, you know, you want to say you didn't mean to do this, but you beat her up for 10 minutes. You know, he's just calling out his BS. He's like, you're not special.
Yeah.
You're my job. I love that line. He's like, you're my job.
Great lines.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. He's there.
No,
I think a lot of times remind us that this is not black and white, or this is not gray with this guy. It's very black and white. He is a bad person. Don't be swindled by this guy.
Yeah, and it just shows Pacino's expertise. Like, he's been down this road so many times, dude. He is not fazed by you, like one iota. Like, no. And look, I'm just telling you the honest, folks. Just telling you how I felt. Yes, it easily could have become, you know, an Alex Cross story with it. You know, needs to continue, and you know, along came a spider or something, but it does not. No one stays in lane and does a self-contained story. And I haven't seen Insomnia, the original. I don't even know where we can find it. I didn't want to look that up yet. 1997 Norwegian film. And yeah, Stellan Skarsgård is in that. So would be worth checking out at some point. I would like to find it. But yeah, I really did enjoy this movie a lot. Had a good time with it. And felt conflicted with like how it kind of sits in. You did like an entire breakdown of all of Nolan's films. Mm-hmm. So you have more of a more recent reevaluation or scope of his resume than I do. I was looking at the list. The only two I've never seen is Following, and I haven't watched all of Tenet. Right. So if I took those two out of the plate, that kind of leaves me where to plot this one. And I like this one more than I thought I even would. Yeah. So, yeah.
Which I'm glad to hear. I'm glad. I always like hearing when people see this, them appreciating it, because this is, I do think, even though I wouldn't put this among his best movies, I think it is very underrated, particularly amongst crime dramas.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like it's a psychological thriller crime drama with a lot of interesting commentary. What never feels like commentary. Like it doesn't ever feel heavy-handed. The characters are dealing with and unpacking that at their own pace, which lines up with how those characters were introduced. So I didn't have anything out of the norm. I'm going to be very strong on a 3.5 out of 5, but probably with a rewatch, I'm going to lean up, not down. So that's kind of where my general review score of it is. I think if you love those type of things, I think Mrs. Pops is going to watch it. I'm going to get her to watch this one with me because I feel she likes these type of true crime things like that. And other than there's a little bit of cursing and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was pretty subdued. It was a fine movie. There wasn't anything totally radical or anything out of the bounds. Just if you like that kind of stuff, that genre, I think this is a good one to watch. So that's my general take.
Yeah, and I rate it very similarly. I did a little write-up for it on Critic List some months back. I do think this is a better movie than Following. I think I had this one sitting just outside of Nolan's top 5, I want to say. I think I had this at number 6 or 7. I had it at 7. I had Prestige, Inception, Oppenheimer, Memento, Dark Knight. This is top 5. Batman Begins 6. This was 7. Which, I mean, and I know it's like 7 out of 12. It's like, oh, so it's in the bottom half. It's like, yeah, but I mean, he's got 9 movies that I would say are genuinely good movies. And, 3 movies I would say are kind of bad movies. So this is certainly in the good one, in the good category. I'd rate it probably about 7.5. That's about where I had it. I think it's a really strong movie. I don't like, for me, like when I rate something an 8 or on your scale like 4 stars, that's when you're getting into great territory. I don't think it quite reaches that high.
Yeah.
But it's not far from that. This is a really, really good movie, and it's a rewatchable movie. Like I said, I've rewatched it like 5 or 6 times total now, and I enjoy it a good amount every single time.
I think it reminded me of. So again, I don't know how you feel about Misery or not, but I feel like it's in the same vein that if you like that sort of suspenseful mystery, psychological thriller, drama, crime stuff, you like all of that. It's got that same type of rewatchability. You kind of know, but you don't have to like totally be on the edge of your seat. But it's good character development, great performances, all that kind of stuff. So I think it kind of fits in that. Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Kind of like a little high. The Nolan list. So let me think. 'Cause I have to pull them up. Before I do, let me share this. This made me smile. I was going through some of the promotional stuff for Insomnia. Really pretty generic stuff. However, this DVD box made me laugh. This DVD box was 7, Heat, and Insomnia, and Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
Now,
what is that doing there?
Devil's Advocate never looks so bad on a box. Like, I haven't watched Devil's Advocate but once. I wish he would not be opposed to watching it again to give it a fair. I don't have any like major negative thoughts or vibes about the movie, but it is so far below.
Mm-hmm.
Heat
Like
and
Devil's
7
Advocate's
are
a kind of
completely in a different category. That it's not even up for debate. Like
Devil's Advocate is a very gimmicky movie. It's entertaining for a gimmicky movie, but having it with these other 3, for one thing, it doesn't match these, because the other 3 are very much crime films. They're serious. Devil's Advocate is goofy. And,
it's more like a supernatural spin on things, right?
Yeah,
and then you can go the other direction. It's like, well, why is Heat there then? It's like, if you get into something that's a little bit, I don't know, Heat almost doesn't work then. It's more like a heist film than a crime thriller, and I don't know, it's just different.
Well, yeah, it's like one of those things where you could say one of these is not like the other, and you could say that
which
about
one is it?
all of them in some weird way. Like, well, 7's not like these because it doesn't have Al Pacino. Well, Heat's not like this because of da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I mean, but what sticks out most is like, oh, these are crime dramas, and you're like, well, except for that one.
That's funny. We should actually post. I should post that. So if one of these doesn't go with the others, which one is it? Have everybody come up with all of their different angles? Because it is just it's whatever your angle is. There's always
the comments decide in what way.
Yeah, that's a great gimmick. So, so I'll give my take. Nolan films. So there's 12, right? Is there 12?
Yeah.
12. Okay, so I haven't seen Following and Tenet. Let's just take those off the list. The top of the list is going to be Prestige,
Same.
Dark Knight, Inception. Those are probably my top 3. Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception. I don't know that it says any particular order because they're so different. I rewatch them for different reasons. Yeah, those are the top 3. Memento is right there, but I don't rewatch it enough. It's on kind of like the to-do list to put it right there as the 4th one. Batman Begins is probably right there with Memento for me, just because it is like this beautiful, pure. Actually, I think as far as Batman goes, from the comic book people that are out there wanting to know, Batman Begins is probably better for me than Dark Knight is, as far as being a Batman movie, because Dark Knight, I hate the ending with he doesn't want to be Batman. And killing villains. I can't stand the killing of villains, and I can't. Yeah, but other than that, I love Dark Knight.
Yeah, I love Dark Knight as well. Like, I think, like, objectively, so when I did my list of Nolan movies, I tried to be objective. I tried to take my feelings out of it a little bit. And I was like, okay, if I'm doing that, then The Dark Knight is not, it's like at the back end of my top 5. Because I'm like, I do think The Dark Knight has objective issues. Like, its story gets pretty convoluted at times. It's got some messiness to it, but if I was just going on pure entertainment, it's probably like number 1.
It's rewatched. That and the Prestige. Prestige is just.
The Prestige is the one that has climbed really, really high.
I know.
Dang, for such a complex plot, it's so well.
Keeps getting better for me, not worse. Like that's So those are the 3. So all right, Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception at the top. And I don't even care about all the problems with Inception or the over-analysis. I just enjoy it. I just have a freaking great time.
Inception.
I had a great time when I watched it in the theater. I've had a great one of my daughters was like really young. I mean, 10, 11, and got into like puzzles, and not like a jigsaw puzzle, like actual like mind game puzzles, like Mensa type stuff.
Hmm.
So I had her watch Inception, and she was addicted. It was her favorite movie growing up. I don't know if she still feels that way or not, but that's how it was for years. So we watched Inception probably like 20 times together.
Yeah,
So
I've
it has
watched
sort of like
Inception
even a
tons of
nostalgia
times.
feel. Yeah. Yeah, so I put Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception at the very top, Memento, Batman Begins sort of at the bottom two. Don't really have a special order there. The rewatchability is my slotting. Then I'm stuck. I have to be honest that I rewatched Dunkirk. I don't mind it. I wish it wasn't I wish it was linear. I would probably enjoy the
Hmm.
movie more. It's so jarring knowing the story, and that it just jumps out at me now. I'm not rewatching Dark Knight Rises. I just can't aesthetically handle the Bane process, even though it's a better comic book movie than a lot of comic book movies, and it's aged very well compared to comic book genre.
It
But I have
certainly
like a
has. Funny
horrible,
enough.
I have a horrible disdain. And I will say The Lie, because I mean, I covered Dark Knight Rises like intimately in 2012. Like I was working like hardcore press. We had people in Cleveland on the set sending us set photos, and they were like totally trying to sell us that this was not about Talia and Ra's al Ghul. I was like, I don't know. That's the only thing that makes sense. I'm a Batman guy, and being lied to was bad taste in my mouth. And then of course it was like a bad knockoff version of No Man's Land, and it doubled down on the I don't want to be Batman thing, which I already complained about. So
Yeah.
I just can't do Interstellar. I need to do Interstellar with you. We probably need to do a panel. I may have to have
Hmm.
Gourd and someone else to help defend Interstellar to me, because
I would never defend that movie.
no, you're going to be with me. It wouldn't
Okay,
be fair
gotcha.
for us to just pile on Interstellar. I'm saying we probably need to find some people who want to defend Interstellar, and then plan on going longer than an hour, because I can't do it. I can't handle these people that have glorified this movie into like
Yeah.
one of the greatest of all time. This movie just makes no
Yeah, it's like, guys, look beyond the superficial entertainment and
yeah,
react to the substance of the story, not the themes they're attempting, because that's the argument
yeah,
I always get. Well, the themes, and I'm like, stop. That's all feeling stuff. Look at
yeah.
the actual story and then tell me it makes
Yeah,
sense, because this
I
movie's
still am trying to figure
ridiculous.
out how Matthew McConaughey's character is. I don't know. Oppenheimer's just too long. If I watch it digitally now, I probably will just skip ahead a little bit and make it more like a 2 hour and 15 to 20 minute cut for me. Like I'll just kind of, I know what's happening. Click, 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 click. But I'm going through a phase, and I'll probably grow out of it. It'll probably go away, Gord, where everything is bloated. It's not his fault. It's like everything is bloated. Like all of 2023 is when it hit me like a freight train. Like all these movies that were like okay, and they're all like 15, 20 minutes long. That's
Yeah.
all of them. Like this, people are telling us how great Guardians 3 is, and the Spider
Oh
Verse movies,
gosh.
and John Wick 4s, and all these movies were good
Ugh.
or whatever. And it's like all of them need to be cut. Like we need to trim. No one, all of them should be longer than 2 hours. Cut them all down.
Not only
So,
that, most of those that you just mentioned are not even good.
well, I just, just even from I can make them at least decent, but it starts
Sure.
by just cutting the bloat. We just have to
Yeah.
just start
John Wick
by.
4 especially needs some
Oh, I don't even want to
trimming.
get started on
Holy
the whole.
cow.
Yeah.
But
Um,
sounds like you have Insomnia at number 6 then, behind
um,
Prestige, Inception, Memento, Dark Knight, and Batman Begins. It sounds like Insomnia would be slotted right after those.
yeah, I think it will. I think it's with the rewatch. I think it probably will be right there. Um, kind of, yeah. Batman Begins. It's it's tricky because I do think Dark Knight is far superior, but it's also like the rewatchability is why I just they got problems. I
Yeah, I
got
mean
it, but
it helps having Joker, and Heath
oh
Ledger's
my
performance
gosh,
is
I can
so
just
good, and
watch
it's got awesome
20.
like the action's definitely better in The Dark Knight, and it's a more compelling film. I would still like, because you're not the first person I've heard say that they think Batman Begins might be better, or they might like it a little bit more, because I'm like, it might just be because Batman Begins has probably got less like plot issues, and that's very much something in its favor. I think there is an argument Batman Begins is objectively a better film, but Dark Knight just it's so high for entertainment value, and has so many memorable moments, and has just one of the greatest on-screen villains we've ever seen. in an era where we were getting a lot of great on-screen villains too.
And they don't kill off the villain.
Yeah.
And that's part of my thing. It's like part of the Batman, being a Batman fan was they go to Arkham and they're going to get out again. And it's an endless cycle. He's never going to get out of this loop. He's in a doom loop, folks. If you don't understand the Batman psyche, it's a tragic story about a dude that's so psychologically damaged. He's dressing up like a vigilante bat to beat people into submission in a city that could care less about trying to keep order because it can't. And it's being overridden with a bunch of maniacal maniacs that probably need to get the death sentence, but we don't do that because they're mad. And the doom loop situation for Hollywood is, okay, well, then we'll just kill them. And it's like, well, that's not what Batman would do. And he wouldn't let you kill them. He's like, no, we don't do that here. What are you doing? We don't do that. That's all they keep doing. So the fact that at the end, when it's like he's so willing to just take the fall for two, I can't. That's that. So I watch Dark Knight a lot, but I don't watch that. Once Joker blows up the hospital, it becomes so much of a less interesting movie for me. Then I'm like, it's all downhill from there. I enjoy some of the other journey, but yeah, Insomnia, good one, good pick, Gourd. Glad I got it off the bucket list. We'll probably do a rewatch with the missus. I'm going to pitch it pretty quick, and we'll see if she bites. We'll see how it goes. You have to be in the mood for Insomnia, folks. If but if you like crime drama, thriller type stuff, I think you'll be all right with it.
I think it's a good movie. As far as even though we're currently in the summer, so we had it scheduled, but I think it's one of those movies. And you brought up Misery. It's a good fall winter movie. Cozy up. Watch something kind of brooding, kind of dark, kind of challenging. It's like I think it's a good time to watch it. Then for the first time, I think you should just watch it whenever. But it's one of those things that I think I could easily see myself revisiting year over year during
It feels like this is the November theme. I'm trying to create. There's times of the year they don't really have their theme. And November's like, if we had November snow, maybe it's January. Maybe January snow. Maybe that's what it should be, January. But it's like people are snowed in. They don't have much to do. You cozy up with a good book or a good mystery, thriller, psychological drama. Yeah, it's good. It's a good pick. Yeah. Gourd, tell everybody about what's going on the channel and different things that are going on with you, my friend.
Well, last week I re-released my Twilight video with some new edits. Had a little bit of fun putting that back together because of all the stuff that happened on the previous main channel. So that is now back up for anyone to enjoy that wishes to. I've got a script in the works where I'm going to be breaking down why 28 Weeks Later was a terrible sequel. I certainly hope 28 Years Later is a good one, but I think 28 Weeks Later is awful. And I've got gaming streams that I'm doing, and I am also now, you can catch me Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern for the foreseeable future, as I have been made a regular over on Film Comics Explained.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm actually very hopeful because Danny Boyle came back for 28 years later that he'll bring the appropriate human reaction to things. This is a problem.
The one really good sequence in 28 Weeks Later is the beginning. That's the part everyone talks about. And I'm like, yeah, it was directed by Danny Boyle. That's why it's so good. And then the rest of the movie wasn't, and it falls off a cliff.
Wow. I never looked at 28 Weeks Later much. I think I've watched it a couple of times over the years, maybe, but it's just, yeah. And
yeah, first time I watched it, I was like, this isn't very good. Then I rewatched it for Blue Collar Losers channel, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what causes the virus to get back out is ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, I'm not really understanding how to get it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful, and we'll see. Because I'm definitely a cheerleader for 28 Days Later. The people that hate on it, all I can tell them is that you didn't understand zombies before and after that movie, because that's what changed. It was the game changer. It was the thing that took them from almost being kind of a Scooby-Doo joke of you could just run around them and punch them in the head. It's like the Night of the Walking Dead. They were all slow and brainless, and it was just the law of numbers. 28 Days Later changed the whole. Actually, I think one of the criticisms I got when I talked about that movie on my channel was that it's not really a zombie, man. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not. Please stop. But yeah, check out Gourd. Check out stuff the Pumpkin King's working on there. Gaming stuff's always fun. I usually will just throw that on in the background while I'm doing some stuff for work and just kind of at least throw him a little nod, let him know I'm out there and support one another. And we'll be back here soon. Folks, make sure you guys are checking out some of the playlists and things. Gordon and I have had some fun talks and some great stuff here together, enjoying our friendship and journey here doing this. And touch base with us. Keep us up to date on what's going on with you, man. What's your thoughts on Insomnia? And I don't know, man, what that DVD box, which one doesn't go together? I think that was. But Gord, thank you, my friend. As always, everybody out there, you be blessed. Talk hard. Until next time, I am Pops.